Bill Martinez live, back with you 20 minutes after the hour, America. Good to have you here with us. And as always, we've got our good friend Carl Gallups. Brother, good to have you on with us. Carl, let me just give everybody a real quick update. His book, which we're looking forward to being released in May of this year, The Magic Man in the Sky, Confidently Defending the Christian Faith. And I understand, Carl, it's on pre-sale right now, and this book has already taken off after 2 days here.
Oh my gosh, it's been unbelievable, Bill. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's just a pleasure to be with you and your audience. Yes, it's only been up on Amazon for pre-order. By the way, if you pre-order it now, you can save $8 a copy, and it's produced in fine hardback. But yeah, we've had it up for 2 days. It's already at number 5,000 out of several million books, and climbing every hour, literally.
Wow.
So it's just an amazing phenomenon. People want this book. People need this book. So thank you.
Exactly. Well, I also want to remind everybody that you're a former Florida law enforcement officer, and in your career you were the recipient of the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year Award, as well as 2 commendations of valor. And also he's a longtime senior pastor of Hickory Hammock Baptist Church in Milton, Florida. I've got to come out there and hear you preach one day, brother. I'm looking. Not to mention the fact that I just feel like God's kind of knitted us together here in such a way, and you are such a blessing, and I always appreciate our time together. But we've got a host of topics to touch on. Certainly, our audience wants an update on what's going on with Obama's fraudulent birth certificate that he presented to we the people.
Yes. Well, thank you. Hey, listen, very quickly, let me tell you folks, just go to carlgallups.com, carlgallups.com. Let me get that plug in there, Bill, because that's where they can connect to the book and order it, and the Facebook page. If they could go to the Facebook page and like it, that would help us get the word out as well. Yes, okay. I've got some breaking news on the Obama fraud situation, as well as an illustration that I think your audience will enjoy because it comes from my logical criminal investigations mind. But the breaking news is this. At the top of carlgallups.com, I've got a link to the headlines, and actually WND.com is carrying the actual original story, so you can go there and get it, or carlgallups.com, and I've got it right at the headlines. But we now have proof that Bill and Hillary Clinton were the original birthers. There is a film producer out of Hollywood, a major film producer who works with Steven Spielberg, who is now on video record with Dr. Jerome Corsi, stating that she was very involved in the Clintons' campaign and that she heard Bill and Hillary on many occasions indicate that they knew for a fact and had information that Barack Obama was a foreign national and was unqualified to be president of the United States. Now, I have said on many interviews, Bill, that I heard Hillary Clinton with my own ears, saw her with my own eyes. I was in a motel room in South Florida when she did it on Fox News. I turned it on. I was doing a prophecy conference, and I turned it on, and I heard her say that this was back during the campaign when she was running, that she had information that would sink Obama's campaign, that he was ineligible, and within 4 days she would release the information. I started calling all my friends, got them to watch it. Other people witnessed it. Of course, it was on Fox News, so millions heard it, if they will just remember. Right. But what happened was, of course, within a week or so, we never heard a word, and the next thing you know, Obama's on top. Hillary and Obama have a secret behind-closed-doors meeting. Hillary shuts her mouth, and the next thing you know, she's appointed as Secretary of State, the 4th or 5th most powerful position in the United States. So a deal was cut. But Bill and Hillary are about as treasonous as every Congress member and court member and Supreme Court member that knows that we have a foreign national usurper in the White House. Sheriff Joe Arpaio knows it, and so do 6 criminal investigators and a bevy of forensics laboratories. And I don't know, this can't be held under the lid much longer, Bill. It's going to crack before long.
Well, it's kind of like any lie, Carl. You know, and this is the thing that people have to instinctively respond to. I wonder sometimes if America has the capacity to discern a truth from the lie, because we've been lied to so often that, as Paul would say, our consciences have been seared. And we need an awakening of our conscience, because I keep saying on this show that we don't want to believe that there are forces out there that are so diabolical, and certainly forces that would control the presidency of our beloved country. And the fact of the matter is that we have to wake up and see the signs for what they are. We are overlooking the signs because we're going to get down the road here and go, well, didn't this happen? What about this happen? And you start connecting all the dots here, just like, some pundits and some commentators have begun to, connect the dots. I mean, Joe Arpaio, he sits there and explained to everybody. This wasn't something that he did on his own. He brought in a team of seasoned investigators and experts in the field to check this out and to come back with an objective report that the media has failed to report on.
Well, Bill, not only that, and by the way, excellently stated, brilliant analysis. Not only that, but Sheriff Joe Arpaio didn't investigate anything. He turned it over to 6 forensics, to 3 attorneys with criminal investigation experience, 3 investigators. They turned it over to forensics laboratories and digital document experts. 100% of their work came back indicating that the document is fraudulent. Now, 2 people who were on his 6-member panel have already gone on record stating that they were pro-Obama. They did not want to be on that panel because they thought it was all a bunch of hooey, and they thought from the outset that they would be able to quickly, within a few days, prove that the birth certificate was completely legitimate. Now they are on record describing themselves as, quote, birthers, because, they've actually taken that name upon themselves because the evidence is so overwhelming. And, Bill, for 3 years I've been investigating this and getting this information out to the public, and I have been saying for 3 years, when you are trashed and called a birther or called an idiot or called a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist, please remember, number 1, Hillary Clinton was the original birther. She's the one that broke this information. Number 2, Bill and Hillary are now on record through this film producer as knowing it from the beginning. And number 3, when somebody calls you a conspiracy theorist, thank them. They have just given you a compliment, because as a former criminal investigator, all criminal investigations begin with a conspiracy theory. All crimes begin as a conspiracy. A criminal investigation begins with a theory, and it either moves from a conspiracy theory to an actual crime, or it moves from a conspiracy theory to something that has been delegitimized and thrown away. But this case won't go away because it's a crime. It's a crime. It's a treasonous crime, Bill.
Well, and this is the thing that I yield to. People always ask me about this, and I say, well, you have to trust law enforcement officials to this point. They have enough experience and background to know that when it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. And, so I have to trust that the experience of these experts, and certainly your insight as a former law enforcement officer and investigator yourself, you've got to see that, this is a duck all over the place, and you're just shocked that nobody's really reacting to it. But like we said before, a lie refuses to go away until, the truth is there, and then you can say, okay, and allow it to be released. We've got more with Carl Gallups on the other side of the break. Stay with us. It's 28 minutes after the top of the hour, America. This is Bill Martinez Live. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. This is Bill Martinez Live. Carl Gallups is with us, and it's always a blessing to have him here with us. I want to remind you of his new book, The Magic Man in the Sky, Competently Defending the Christian Faith, and it's going to be released in May of this year. It's already on pre-sale at Amazon.com, and you need to go to Carl's website, carlgallups.com. That's CarlGallups.com, and get and be up to date on what's going on. A very active website from a biblical worldview as to what's happening in our world. You can also get a pre-order of his new book, The Magic Man in the Sky. Carl, blessing as always to have you with us. And you had a couple of illustrations you'd mentioned on the onset relevant to the Obama fraud and this birth certificate that he's presented to America.
Yes, I do, Bill. Thank you again for having me on your show. And let me say to your listeners, if they would go to the Magic Man Facebook site and YouTube site and like us and subscribe there, that would help us hugely in networking the information to the world. A couple of illustrations. Number one, I did serve 10 years in Florida law enforcement in various agencies and at various levels, including doing my own criminal investigations. So let me give you and your audience a couple of illustrations. Let's pretend now that I am a sheriff of a county. And remember, I've been a deputy sheriff criminal investigator in 2 different Florida counties. So let's pretend like now I'm promoted. I'm a sheriff. And information is brought to me, and a petition is circulated with 250 signatures in my county, that a local sitting county judge is suspected of fraudulently having obtained the office, that all of his records are sealed, that he's not really a lawyer, he's not really qualified as a judge, he is an illegal judge who got his seat in the county by fraud. Now, in the meantime, he's sitting on the court, and he's sentencing people to jail, and he's sentencing people to heavy-duty fines. He's sentencing people to rehab institutions, etc., mental institutions as a county judge. So I get the information, and I take 6 months, and I assemble a team of 6 investigators, and they take all the information to forensics labs and digital document experts. After 6 months, they bring all the information back. 100% proof positive the judge is a fraud. I do an hour-and-a-half news conference, release it to the county, to all the people, that the judge who's sentencing their sons and daughters to jail is a fraud. I've got the criminal investigation evidence. And the news media in my county ignores it. The state attorney ignores it. The attorney general of your state ignores it. And everybody is clamoring, please get this judge out of office, he's a fake. And nobody does anything about it after I've done a criminal investigation. There's the frustration of Sheriff Arpaio. That's what is happening in our nation. But it's not just the county judge, Bill. It's the commander-in-chief of our military forces. It's the one whose finger is on our economy. It's the one who signs executive orders. He's the one that signs treaties. He's the one that started the Arab uprising spring in the Middle East. He's the one that is trashing our friends Israel. He's the one that's taking our sons and daughters and putting them in various countries and telling them to kill people. This is horrendous.
Yes.
And so there's the illustration of how serious this is. But go ahead. And I've got another illustration to show you that Arpaio's investigation is dead on. But go ahead.
Okay, I want you to give that. But again, the quick response is, why are we not responding?
Well,
right?
I can tell you one of the reasons why. There's several reasons why, but one of the and my illustration that I'm going to give you next will help with that too. But one of the reasons why, a year ago, General Paul Vallely was making the talk radio circuits, and I have him on a video with his voice saying, Major General Paul Vallely stated publicly that he knew for a fact that the FBI and important members of Congress knows for a fact that Obama is not eligible. And they are sitting on it. They are afraid. The FBI, according to General Paul Vallely, is afraid to deal with this because they are afraid of, quote, his words, black backlash. And, of course, we look at the Trayvon Martin case, and we see what the FBI and Congress fears. I think that's a travesty, though. I think we need to let the chips fall where they fall because we've got a choice. We either let the chips fall and deal with the law enforcement issues of a backlash from blacks, whites, Hispanics, from anybody, or we let potentially a foreign national sit in the White House and govern our economy and command our troops. That's unthinkable. That's treasonous, Bill.
Exactly.
So,
well, we're at a definite crossroads, Carl, that we either trust the truth or we buy into the lie. And this is what's happened. We've been buying into a lie for so long that what happens, what makes this so pernicious, and I keep telling people, this is like putting software in your computer. You put software in your computer, it allows an operating system to take place. And what has happened in our country is we've allowed a software to be operating within, our government and throughout our culture that is it's virus laden with lies. And so until we open up that and run a system to clear all these lies out and expose them for what they are, we're going to continue to reproduce this disease that continues to, hamper our country.
Well, Bill, biblically speaking, brilliant analysis you've just given with a computer. Biblically speaking, the spirit of the Antichrist is all over us. 2 Thessalonians talks about those days when truth will be thrown to the ground and lies will be believed as absolute truth. And I mean, all over the world, we tell our children that they came from monkeys and there is no God. What a huge lie, throwing truth to the ground. Now, in our own culture, we have one of the biggest lies. We have the biggest lie in American history taking place, and the media won't deal with it, the Supreme Court won't deal with it, Congress won't deal with it, the FBI won't deal with it, yet Bill and Hillary Clinton know for a fact that it's a lie. General Paul Vallely knows for a fact. General Paul Vallely says the FBI and Congress knows for a fact, but they're afraid of the truth, and so they're letting a lie go forward.
Well, and the biggest point...
That's the spirit of the Antichrist.
Right, exactly. And the thing is if we don't put a stop to it... I mean, Carl, you and I and others, men and women of faith, we know how it ends. But until that point in time, I believe that we still need to be vigilant and diligent about those things that God has called us to, and to be that agent of, light and salt to a dark and eroding world. And so we have that responsibility that's commanded upon us. And so if people will continue to buy into this lie, as pernicious as it is, you can't help but ask, what next?
I know. Listen, again, I mean, this is why you're the master at this, my friend. I mean, I think, again, another brilliant statement and analysis. And that's right. That's the balance that I keep as a Christian and as a pastor and as a patriot. I love our constitutional republic. So the balance I keep is, I've read the end of the book. I know we win, those of us that belong to Jesus Christ. I understand there will come a time in human history when it's just over with and the Lord is on his way. Now, in the meantime, until the Lord reveals that to me in 1,000% way, I mean, I don't know that this is that time. So what I have to do is be the salt and the light to scream truth into the blackness of darkness and let the chips fall where they fall. Now, if we're right at the edge of the rapture and if we're right at the edge of God's wrath being poured out, then he'll do that regardless of what I'm screaming into the darkness. But my job is to scream truth into the darkness.
Okay, we've got about a minute and a half, Carl, the second illustration.
Okay, minute and a half. All right, here it is. Let's pretend like that I own the New York Times and I'm in the tank for Obama. Arpaio comes out with this investigation, and I believe Arpaio is a bunch of junk. I think his investigation is trash. I think that he's just trying to get back at Obama and Holder, and he's trying to bring down a president. So what do I do if I'm the New York Times? I investigate the investigation. I expose Arpaio for the liar he is. I win the Pulitzer Prize for my newspaper. I uncover the crime of the decade. Or I find out that Arpaio's investigation is correct. I bring down a sitting president. I save the country. I win the Pulitzer Prize, and I've got the story of American history. But the fact that the New York Times is doing nothing, the fact that all of the major media is doing nothing, is 100% logical proof that they know Arpaio's investigation is correct.
Exactly. Well, Carl Gallups has been our guest. Be sure and go to his website, carlgallups.com, and like him on his Facebook, The Magic Man in the Sky, his new book that's going to be released in May. Carl, again, you're such a blessing. It's an honor to have you on the show, and we look forward to having you back as we continue to update everybody on this fraud that's been thrust upon the American society. This is Bill Martinez Live. It is 18 minutes before the top of the hour, America.